by John Lennon was my Uncle Michael's favourite song. He used to hum the song on Christmas Day. It was a bit of a tradition. And I can still see him using his arms as if he was conducting an orchestra. But the thing was, it was the words that really struck a chord for Michael. The idea that we could remove the barriers that divide us in this world. Michael believed that ideas could change the world. Michael was my hero. He was the kindest and cleverest man you could ever meet. And I had a quite troubled upbringing in my life. I lived on my own as a teenager in London. My mum and dad had split up. I did various jobs. I worked on a building site. I even cleaned streets to earn money. And Michael never gave up on me. He, when I went to college, he paid for my college fees, helped me to get through in terms of living. And it wasn't just his money, it was his interest. We used to write letters to each other. This was a long time ago. This was before emails or the internet. We used to write in those days. And I used to tell him about how my studies were going, and we used to talk about sort of world issues. And those letters remain some of my most cherished objects that I retain to this day. And 25 years, almost to the day, Uncle Michael died of a massive heart attack. It still upsets me now thinking about it, but he had been an alcoholic for many years. I think he'd been lonely. And he was a little older than I am now when he passed away. He didn't fulfill his potential, and he didn't see how it panned out for me. So I thought I would write him one more letter, and I'm going to read it out to you. Dear Michael, it's been too long, a quarter of a century, in fact, since we last spoke. There's not a week that goes by when I don't think about you. And sometimes I wish you would reach out from where you are and we could talk again. Now I'm a little older, perhaps I could understand you more. I now have two beautiful teenage children, and I look on them as I'm sure you looked on me. You will be over the moon that I've finally made it as a professor. You always wanted me to be an academic. As you say, I'm Britain's first professor of social mobility. I joke at home that I am the world's leading professor of social mobility. My 14-year-old daughter is quick to point out that's only because I'm the only one. I know you wanted me to be a scientist, but I hope you'll be pleased that my chosen field is education. We live in an era where we are all making great strides in developing evidence of what really matters in schooling. And I've just published a book. Yes, a book based on the results of 8,000 studies helping teachers. We're improving the way that children learn. What could be better than that? So what can I report from the year 2020? Sounds so futuristic, doesn't it? Well, everything has changed, but nothing has changed. It saddens me to tell you that the world is still riven by divides. Left versus right, east versus west, one religion apparently against another, and of course, rich versus poor, the deepest divide of all. Wherever I go in the world, there are really stark divides between the educational haves and have-nots. Millions of children leaving school without basic numeracy or literacy in the richest countries and the poorest. In fact, whatever education measure you use, you will find a deep social class divide. The world's best universities, the breeding grounds for future elites, remain exclusive enclaves for the privileged few. I remember we used to talk a lot about the political reforms of the 1980s, ushered in by Margaret Thatcher in Britain and other governments across the world. The central idea was that people should compete in life to make their lives better and, in theory, to improve the lives of everyone. The market would improve us rather than the state or government. I also remember you saying that the most dangerous ideas are those that, when taken to extreme, do more harm than good. And so it proved. The cult of individualism has flourished across the globe. And no more is this true in the world of education. Schools and teachers are measured and assessed and controlled by an arm system, not least the assumption that schools by themselves has forced us to teach children according to a narrow set of values. It pits one school against another. The evidence, however, is clear. The current approach is failing when it comes to social mobility. Achievement gaps between the poorest pupils and their more privileged peers are stark and even widening. We also know that what matters most for children's progress, comes down to one factor: the quality of classroom teaching. And the best way to improve teaching is to nurture and develop teachers by enabling them to learn and collaborate with other teachers. We need to recalibrate how we oversee our school systems. The truth that all our children should know is that we are all products of collective effort. That, of course, is what John Lennon is telling us in his song Imagine. A song, by the way, influenced just as much by Yoko Ono, he said in later life. So, Michael, if it wasn't for you and for many others in my life, I wouldn't have the privilege of doing what I'm doing right now. And I'll never forget that. We were dreamers, but what I've realised from going around the world is that we certainly aren't the only ones. There are many of us imagining a world where we can live as one. So, Michael, imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. All my love, Lee. Thank you very much.